Hello, friends, and welcome to Pathologic Volume 9, Episode 37. We are closing out the volume today with one final bonus puzzle, and it is in one of my favorite genres once again. This is an all-time classic genre called Nurikabe, and if that doesn't mean anything to you, don't worry about that, because we are going to take another look at the rules. Nurikabe is a shading puzzle. We will shade cells in the puzzle such that all shaded cells are orthogonally connected but never form a 2x2 shaded region. Orthogonally connected just means sharing an edge, so vertically or horizontally connected. We can never form a 2x2 shaded region. As you can see, we don't have a square of black cells right there. A number clue is never shaded and shows the size of the orthogonally connected unshaded region it is part of. So that's saying that this 6 is part of an unshaded region of 6 cells, and in the answer you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells in that region. The fact that these are diagonally connected does not matter because we're talking about orthogonally connected. All unshaded regions have exactly one clue. That means we can't have an extra region. We couldn't surround this white square here with shaded cells all around here because that would be illegal. And also we can't have two, this example, it would be impossible anyway, but we can't have, let's say these were both 4s, they couldn't be part of the same 4-cell region because it's exactly one clue. Those are all of the rules of Nurikabe, so it's time to solve a puzzle. This bonus Nurikabe puzzle was set by Eric Fox. We will start by marking any cells in between two clues because clues can't touch each other. And I see that we've got some 1s. Small and large clues are always our ins in puzzles like these. So the 1s are self-contained. We can just bound those easily. And we've got some isolated cells that we can fill in because of that. Now, I think there are a bunch of ways we could go from here, but I think what calls to me is reachability. By which I mean, there are some cells that are kind of hidden in cul-de-sacs over here. And in Nurikabe, we know that every cell is part of a region and every region has exactly one clue. So this cell, either it's shaded or we can trace a path to one of the clues, but that's going to be very hard to do. Because if we try to go as closely as we can, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we can't reach this 8 with an 8, and we certainly can't reach this one or these 7s. We can't reach anything from this cell. Likewise, this one. Those are right out. This one's going to be the same problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can barely get there. And that makes sense because since we can't do that one, we're going to have to do this one because it would complete a 2x2. So from here, we've got to go as directly as we can to get to a clue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Some path making it to here. So there will be 3 of these cells. It might be these 3. Well, it won't be these 3, actually, because that would touch this too. It might be these 3 or these 3. Actually, no matter what we do, that's one of them right there. And it either goes up here and up here, down here, some combination of those. And because of that, this cell must be shaded because this 8 clue, we're going to use up all the cells getting down here. So we can't stretch north at all. We can't stretch south at all from these clues. And we can't go north from that one. So that's given us a lot doing that. These also we can't ever enter now because the only thing they could connect with is the 8 clue, and we don't have the spare cells for that. So these are both out. That means this is in. So we've got all but one of these 2 cells one of these two will also be part of the 8, so this one's not. And great. We've done a lot of work with that one clue. This 8 has the opposite problem. It is very constrained. Instead of needing to get really far away, it won't be able to get very far away. What could it possibly reach? I'm going to be very generous with it and only think about where it could grow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cells before it would touch one of these two clues. But 10 is too many because we can't do both of these two. And we can't do both of these two. Because these two, if these were both unshaded, this cell would be stranded by itself. If these two were both unshaded, this one would be stranded by itself. I mean, it could go up here, but that's even worse. So that tells me that at least one of these two is shaded, and at least one of these two is shaded. Well, exactly one of those two, because that's the only way we can get, because we only have 10 cells. We can only miss out 2, and one of them's got to be from here, one of them's got to be from here. So I'm gonna remove those marks and say that these 6 are known, which gives us that one as shaded. Right. Here, this 2 is going to grow one of these two directions. Either way, that one's shaded. This cell we can't reach because it can't sneak through here without touching the 2 or here, so it would have to go with the 2, and it's more than 2 cells. Same with this one. So these 2 become shaded. That becomes unshaded because of a 2x2, and we finished off that region. These 2 are isolated. This one must be unshaded because of the 2x2, finishing off this 2 clue and that isolated cell. And this cell, 3, 4, 5, could that be where the 8 goes? Can I prove that's not the case? Maybe I can't. It's tempting that won't be possible, but I don't see quite yet why that is. Great. So it's probably these 7s where I've got to look at next. They are the least constrained in the puzzle. This is probably the toughest part. Is it connectivity? There's got to be a connectivity problem. Because I feel like they're constrained, but not in a way that is as easy to see. So there probably is an easier path. Even though this is a bonus puzzle, I don't expect it to be that horribly fiendish. Probably this clue can't go down here. I bet there's not enough room. Okay, let's think about this. These 7s. Between them, we've got 14 unshaded cells and shaded cells that separate them. What do we have in this region? I'm going to do the same thing I did up here and just count the worst case scenario. See if this gets us close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, no. That's far too many. I mean, I can see that wouldn't work, but that I can't easily make any deductions based on that. So let me think about maybe where this cell connects to. It either goes around the bottom, pushing this 7 up, or it comes up this way to meet with other things. Or either of those obviously problematic. This is tougher than I expected. This cell might be restricted because of what the 8 could do. If this is where the 2 goes, then that is going to force... Wait, was that what I was seeing? Maybe not, because that doesn't seem to be forcing much at all. Boo. Okay, was it the other way? If this is shaded... yeah, if that's shaded, this is unshaded. This can't come down here, so it goes up like that. And this has to come out here. To finish off the 8, we've got to unshade these two. Ooh. That is surprisingly not broken. And probably is actually what's going to happen. Okay, alright. Let's see if I can use that in any way. If that is what happens, then I should be able to get to a contradiction by assuming something else. So let's say this is unshaded. What does that do? Oh, there we go. This can't be unshaded because then these would both be shaded and we would have a 2x2. Okay, so that one is shaded. Therefore, the 2 is going to be adjacent to that one. That finishes off our 8 at least. That's something. We still have a lot of open possibilities, but let's say this 8 came down to here. Let's say if this is unshaded, then it has to connect to the 8 through there. This has to come down to connect to the outside world, as does that, which strands this and this can't be a 2. So that makes that shaded. So we've got 6. We can't have these both be unshaded because it would strand that one. That's what we were talking about before. So this becomes unshaded. Shade that to make sure they don't meet. This comes down that way. This comes out that way. And we have made a little bit of progress here. So we've got 6, 7, one of these two, depending on... So that means that only one of these two is going to connect to the outside world so we can disambiguate this thing. Or that we're going to get 2x2 forced. Okay, this 2 is fine now. So the 7... Do we have a reachability thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. No reachability left. 'Cause everything is quite reachable. Okay, this 7 is very constricted. Well, I say very. It still could sneak out through the top, but actually it can't. I don't think. If this were... Okay, suppose this 7 were to get this far. That's my question. Can this 7 sneak through here? If it does, this has to go down. So that forces the whole... Either the whole 7 escapes, or... So that this can connect down here, or at least one of these is taken up, so this has to come through here. Let's take those two cases. If this is connected, then the 7 so that the 7 can do that, then it has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This 7 is completely screwed. So, oh, I've gone too many cases, though, by doing that. So I'm saying, if we sneak... Let me rephrase that. That's what happens if this does not take... If it takes this cell we've got some things we can do. If it doesn't take that cell, then this 7 has to either connect to that, which we've just shown is a problem, or it has to take these, which is also a problem. So let's back up and say that this, okay, so that this must go east. That's what we're saying, right? If that's not shaded, either this connects around here and the 7 has a problem, or it connects around here and the 7 has a problem. So this does take that cell. That forces this to be unshaded. And it's not part of this 7. So this 7 needs to take in 7 of these 8 cells. Certainly it can't be both of these because that would strand this one, just like the situation up here. So these 6 are all unshaded. Good. And one of these 2. Okay, so now this 7 is going to take up that clue for certain. Gosh, all of that work, and this is still not feeling all that constrained. The 2 means that this doesn't connect to this mass over there. So it must connect through here. Is that right? That's got to be right. If the 2 goes up, this has to connect that way. If the 2 goes to the right, it doesn't have to go left, but it does have to go, it will connect to here. So this is connected to here. That's going to disambiguate this eventually, but we're not there yet. So let me see if I can intuit what the answer is and then prove it. My intuition tells me we're going to do something like that. And that is going to force all of this stuff like so. So how do I disprove the alternative? What are we saying by saying that that's the answer? Let's look at this cell and say, what if this is unshaded? If that's unshaded, it is part of the 7. So it comes down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We get 3 more to play with. And is there a connection issue that happens then? 3, 4. We certainly can't get here because one of them has to be here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one of them has to be here. And one of them has to be here because of 2x2-age. And there has to be a shaded cell in one of these 2 spots because of this 7. Because it comes out here or here. So, oh, so close, and I still am not seeing it. So hopefully there is something obvious that you're yelling about. That's what my hope. Okay, so we were here. Okay. Okay, so this 7 My intuition says this is the shape, and that doesn't appear to be countermanded by anything that we had to do as a result of that. And so that would say, maybe I can say what that does to here and use that for the counterexample. So what that does to here is force this down here. So let's force it up here. Let's say that's the 7. Now this 7 is constrained in a way that it hasn't been. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is for sure. This has to get out. It comes down here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and then we've isolated that cell. Okay. That's simply what it is. So if this comes out that way, then this needs to be shaded, but the 7 has to reach there. So we've isolated that cell. So this must be shaded. And this must come out down here. That must be shaded. That's good, because this has to come out this way. This is stranded, so that has to be shaded. This has to be unshaded by a 2x2. Whew, okay, this is looking better. So now we have this block, these two and this, and one of these have to be shaded. Minimum. So that gives us 4. So what forces it to not be this one? Oh, could it be, why could it be one and not the other? Something to do with this too. Did I already prove this? I probably did, and I'm not even seeing it. If this 7 comes up here, then that's shaded. The 2 comes up here, and this comes up this way. Oh, wow. Okay, that doesn't work. That, I feel like I'm missing something far easier in here, but I think we're close to wrapping it up even so, because that is a contradiction, because this big block would have to come through here and break this 8 clue. So I'm going to say that this 7 can't go up here. It has to be these 7. Because of that, we unshade that, shade that in, unshade that. Now we have our 8, and therefore we shade that one. Now I'm really curious if anyone watching has seen a cleaner path for those last, I don't know, 3 or 4 clues. Most of the first flowed really smoothly, but at least that is one way that we can solve a Nurikabe.